Underground. Ooh, we want ultra low latency. Come on, give me the go live button. We're live on vertical. I need to go live on horizontal. There we go. All right. I think we are live on all the channels. So let's get started. Yeah, memory alignment it's one of those things like it doesn't really matter until it does, right? And it's one of those things where you don't want to stress about premature optimization, right? You want to especially it all depends on perspective. Are you developing software for a business, which means someone's paying money to get the software done, right? Do you think that business wants to spend X number of dollars an hour paying you to sit there and like do a bunch of math problems to figure out what order to put the member variables in? Probably not. So it all depends on perspective. But it is a useful thing to be aware of if and or when the time comes for you to parse or load or manage or process tons and tons of data, right? Gigabytes of data, terabytes of data, right? Maybe you're implementing a database system and you need to store all that data. Think about all the data centers that are going up for AI now, right? Memory is expensive and you want to process more and more memory as quickly as possible. So getting your data as tightly packed as possible goes a long way. If I'm running around like with my game engine here, right? This game engine is not optimized by any means. So if I'm just running around throwing pointers everywhere and using polymorphism, then there's a good chance that memory alignment and making sure all my member variables are tightly packed is not ever going to be the bottleneck for anything I'm doing, right? There will always be something I can improve besides the memory alignment stuff, but it's also worth just like having good defaults, right? If you know memory alignment, then maybe it's worthwhile to just say, hey, don't stress about getting the memory alignment perfect, but here are some default rules to follow. And so, like, say for my development team, I don't have my team members sit there and figure out how to perfectly align their memory or like perfectly pack their member variables, right? So I'm going to do like I'm going to have a set of rules that everyone on the team follows. That's like, hey, data structures are the first set of member variables you list. Pointers. How big is a pointer? It's typically 8 bytes, right? So that's usually comes after data structures. What about doubles, right? That's also 8 bytes. So then it's like doubles, floats, integers, shorts, chars, bools, that kind of thing. So that's typically like, I don't really stress about it. It was just something that's always like, it was really cool when I first learned it, and I thought other people would enjoy learning about it if they hadn't learned about it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with that. All right. So we've got enough people here that I can at least kind of start talking about what I have planned today. As you know, based on the title, I am having a guest pop into Discord to chat with me. He is looking to help contribute to this project. He has worked for me in the past, doesn't anymore. And so he at least is somewhat familiar with how I do things and what I'm looking for with code contribution. So it should be pretty good. Now, he does work full time. He does go to school. So the amount of contribution he'll be able to do, it's going to be up in the air. So I am looking to find a way for him to contribute without being like a blocker with all the stuff I'm working on and trying to get up and running. So we will most likely be digging into integrating a scripting engine, something that I can just hand off to him and let him learn, because he has never done this before. Hey, Elo, how's it going? And I think it's a good opportunity for him to learn, right? On my end, I'm probably going to have to come up with a way to make it easy for him to integrate a scripting engine. So I'm thinking like C++ reflections. I'm hoping to find a library that'll do that for me, that kind of thing. But yeah, so in about 30 minutes, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard, he's going to hop in Discord. We're going to get all that set up because I've not really done a Discord stream before, so I will have to figure that out, and hopefully you guys will bear with me as I do that. But once he's in, we will start discussing. I think he has cloned the Awen project. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to here. But I'm pretty sure he's already cloned this project, and I'm pretty sure he's also running on an Intel Mac, which I currently don't support in my CMake presets. So I'm hoping he was able to figure out how to update the presets to make that happen. And then we'll get that rolled in, and then Awen will now support Intel Macs. I hope. We'll see. But yeah, so in about 30 minutes, we will do that. In the meantime, I want to quickly go over what I had worked on last time, which was really event handling. And we got events up and running in the node object. We have the event function. It does a depth first search, DFS. So if you ever have if you ever have an interview and you're being asked something like what is it, BFS and DFS, and what are the differences? So you're talking like breadth first search or depth first search. Breadth being you're iterating over the elements like across versus down the tree, right? So this is a depth first search, so that for rendering, where you're going to have like sprites, text, UI elements, HUDs, whatever, they're going to be rendered in a specific order based on where they appear in the child list. So we want to get to that last child because that child will be the one that's rendered in front. So if I do a mouse click, I want to test against this child versus testing against like the parent first. So depth first search. Now there's definitely some more optimizations that will have to happen at some point. I'm not too worried about it. I'm really just kind of sprinting to getting some functionality in here so I can start building a game. So that's kind of where things are at. There's a lot more work that needs to happen. I've also started looking into, because I didn't realize this, but Raylib has a math library. And it can do like matrix translation, rotation, scaling. So I want to look at getting this integrated in so that I can go from, what was I doing before? I was, where is it? Render. I'm going to undo. So I was doing this before, manually calling RL, translate, rotate, scale, but I think I can just pass the transform in itself. And part of the reason I'm going to need that, as we discovered last stream, if I am doing any kind of event handling, the mouse pointer is in your window coordinate system, right? So if I have nested renderable objects all translated based on their parent node, then those objects are effectively in a different coordinate system. So it doesn't map to the mouse pointer. So I needed functionality to translate a mouse pointer to local coordinate space of the node to determine if it was like within its bounding box. So I'm going to have to do some work there to get all that updated. I don't know if we'll have time to get to that today, because once my guest is on, I want to kind of walk him through what I had planned for him. The other thing I plan to do real quick is, maybe I'll do it once he's on, is I have a big I have this grand plan for Awen, right? I'm sure every developer who makes a game engine has this grand plan. And like most game engines being developed just for the sake of being developed, who knows if it'll ever be finished? You know, life comes up. I can't work on this full time, so you just don't know. But I do have a grand plan. And I discovered an open source framework that basically does what I want to do with this engine, but for like a different solution. So I'm going to show that off to give everyone an idea of what my grand plan is. So we'll take a look at that as well. And then I meant to do this last stream, but I wanted to use the AI to do like a code review just so we could see if it like actually called anything out worthwhile. And so I ended up doing it the other night. I just didn't apply anything with it. And this kind of gave me an idea of like, hey, these are some of the things that need improved. I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree with that. One of the big issues I am running into right now is this idea of anyone being able to access my root engine object. So if you go into like main.cpp, I have an engine. The engine controls timing. It's what enables like updates every tick. It enables like physics steps every tick. So like fixed time steps, when to invoke rendering, that kind of thing. And eventually probably like some general game state, like, I don't know, pause or stop or play, that kind of thing. So I need to give this engine access to other objects easily so that they can do things like send an event or handle an event. So I'm still playing around with the idea on what that looks like, but I did through this review kind of get an idea of like, okay, maybe I can implement a this object find ancestor. So I don't know if I'd call it find ancestor. I might just call it get parent, and it could just traverse up the object tree to get a parent type that I pass in via a template, and then cache it so that the next time I call it, it doesn't have to do a bunch of dynamic casts to get that value. I don't know if I like that or not. We'll see. So I'm playing around with that idea as well. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure about that. So we have about 15 minutes to spare. I think I want to continue seeing if I can get this transform implementation up and running. Because I just tried to run my application before I hopped on stream, and we get no text, no rectangle, nada. Because I don't know if I can actually legally do what I'm trying to do here. This isn't very type safe of me either. I have those YouTube shorts saying you need to use type safety. And then I'm just taking a member variable, the first member variable in a struct, and then passing it in as if it's an array. So not the most type safe solution here. Because this is a struct. Holy IntelliSense, Batman. Oh my god, why? Use using instead of type def. I get it, but you don't need to yell at me about it. I wonder if there's a way to... But anyway, this will basically treat, like, if you grab the first member variable of a struct and like reference its address, as long as all of this data is like, it's not pointers, it's all going to be like sequential next to each other, right? All member variables are sequential next to each other. So in theory, I can reference this first variable, and because it's like being treated as a float pointer, it's effectively going to read the rest of the data at 4 byte increments and treat it like a float. Yes, I am using VS Code. I am using VS Code with... Oh, I forget what it's called. Cat Pachine for VS Code. And I'm also using the icons. And the theme, because it comes with a handful of themes. I'll be damned if I remember what they are. I think mine's like Mocha something or other. And then I also just modified all of the like where everything is located in VS Code to be a little bit more vertical friendly for my vertical folks on YouTube. Did it really? GitHub got hacked using a VS Code extension. Oh no. Am I already in trouble? If GitHub gets hacked, what hope do I have of not being hacked right now? I'm not a big enough player. They probably don't even know I exist. I don't have anything worth stealing anyway. GitHub hacked by a VS Code extension. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, yeah. Still have to think. Yeah, that's a doozy. Actually, I need to figure out how to get a Discord overlay so you guys can see who's talking to me. How do I do that? Do you already have one? Do I have one? Add source, because I think it's like a widget. Ooh, Discord chat. Okay. Is this the right format? No. Hang on. Discord chat overlay. Oh, Discord provides it. Okay, select server. Select channel. Ooh, it doesn't see my... Oh, it doesn't see my private channels? Does it see this one? What's this one? No, that's a... How do I... Oh, wait, hang on, that's the wrong one. Voice, I want voice. There we go. Shows speaking users only. Show my avatar first. I want it to be... can I... Alright, I'm gonna hop in a Discord channel and see if we can start seeing this. Alright, I am talking to myself. Chat, you don't see this yet, I'm assuming. Let me fix that. Let's do like 400 by 600, I guess. All right, this is a test. Do you guys see? Oh, I think we see me. We see me. Oh, if you're watching vertically, by the way, YouTube viewers, I do have a standard 16:9 live stream going on YouTube as well. If you want to hop over to that and rotate your phone, you are more than welcome to. But if you give me 1 second, I will throw it on vertical as well. Let's position it. What's a good position? Let's do... Because part of the problem is going to be I want to show some software off. So if I show software off, does it cover... Okay, so it's above that. That's good. Okay, so you'll see that I am chatting. That's good. Vertical. Vertical peeps need this as well. Add source, browser source, Discord chat. All right, I should be showing up in the top left corner. I think I am, and I think that's a good enough spot for it. It could be a little bigger, I guess. Does that make it bigger? Yeah, there we go. That makes it a little bigger. Test, test, test. There we go. Cool. All right. We are just about ready then, if that works. Hmm. I really need to get that cat cam up. He's snoring up a storm. Oh man, I was going to come on here to show you guys how green my builds are. I wasn't actually expecting red builds. Uh Code should be Clang formatted. Whoops. And then it's also oh, Linux is failing. I think I'm failing to include a header file. Oh, I think I'm failing to include type info. Oh, modules. Oh, modules. All right. I could probably fix that real quick. Like, where does this actually originate from? Window, text. Aren't C++ errors just grand rectangle? I wonder if it's in rectangle. Yeah. Don't really need any of these changes. Then I also need to run Clang format. Okay, so that should take care of that. Cool. All right. All of that is building. Oh. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to. Okay, guys, I am really close now to my first YouTube video. I mean, I know I still have the two, which were kind of just edited live streams that I did, but this one will be a little bit better edited. I have all 5 parts. It's going to be about an hour and 20 minutes on how to basically set up C++ for cross-platform on, what is it, Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and WebAssembly. The only thing I still need to do is film an intro. Then I'm going to piece all that together. So maybe if depending on how I'm feeling, I might record an intro tomorrow. And if I can get it, oh man, if I can get it edited, I might be able to get this out the door Sunday or Monday. But that's all subject to change based on how available I am this weekend. But we're close. We're getting close. Oh yeah, it's gonna be, there's gonna be timestamps. It is not intended for you to watch from start to finish. This is supposed to be more informational. So, you'll click on whatever parts you care about and then go about your day. That's all this is for. But it does, and I also don't go into too much detail about like setting up your compilers or anything like that. I start out to do it, I think, on Windows. But there are some underlying assumptions that, at least on Windows, you have WSL set up. Linux, you do your Linux thing. Same for Mac. Mac, there's an assumption that you know how to use Homebrew, for instance. But the CMake presets is where all of the actual detail is. So that's where that will be. All right, I'm messaging my guest to see if he's ready. Oh, I just realized I'm going to have to figure out how to get his audio into this stream. Hey, can you hear me? All right, I'm assuming chat can't hear you. Can you say something again? Oh, you are there? Okay, yeah. So I have to add that. 1 second. There's a way to do this, and I totally know how to do it. Maybe I uncover my desktop audio as soon as I remember how to do that. Control audio via OBS. Use custom. I didn't think this far ahead. Some reason I thought this was just gonna work. That's on me. There's a way to do this. I've done this before. Add source. Application audio. Here we go. Here we go. Discord. Hit OK. All right.
Testing.
Chat, can you hear him?
Testing.
I'm seeing the audio pop up.
I can hear myself.
You can hear yourself. Awesome.
Yes.
All right. So, chat, please welcome Jamal. Jamal
Hello.
used to work for me for a brief stint as like an intern or a co-op, I think.
Intern, yeah.
Intern? Cool. Yeah, I think back in, oh man, was that 24? 25. No.
23 or 24
please
maybe?
don't say 23. but yeah, so like I think summer of 24 to the end of the year, I worked with
Yes.
Jamal for a you watch it there, Devtron. Um, for like maybe 6 months, but even that 6 months was kind of brief because we really only got together like what, once a week, something like that.
Around once or twice a week. Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't really get to learn a lot from each other, and so after I left, Jamal stayed in touch and kind of kept talking shop with me. Jamal, if you don't mind, can you give the streamer or the viewers just a quick rundown of your background and experience?
Yeah, so I am a C++ developer. Hello, everyone. I am a master's student at college right now. My undergrads are in computer science, computer engineering, and IT. It's a triple major, even though I've learned more while working than I have while I'm in school. So just get one degree and move on. Yeah, I just really enjoyed working underneath him and really learned a lot while working alongside with them, even though it was a short period of time, and wanted to reach out and have him actually provide some guidance for me so I can continue to grow as a developer. And Funin really helped me by recommending books, sitting down with me, helping me prepare for interviews. The only reason why I even landed my current job is because I prepared with him and he gave me some questions and algorithms to study and data structures to look at. Um, and yeah, I just grew. I've grown so much, and it's been a very cool experience to see my progression over the past. I guess it's been almost 2 years, I suppose. Yeah, almost 2 years, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Good deal. I uh I need to share my screen with you, right? That's what we kind of landed on.
Yes, I'm watching it on YouTube as well. There's a slight delay, like we discussed, but
Yep.
it's not the end of the world.
It's I mean it's up to you. I can share my screen.
Share your screen.
All
Share
right.
your screen.
Uh, turn on camera. Nope, that's not my screen. That's my camera. Share my screen. Uh, let's do this one.
Perfect.
All right, you see my desktop?
Yes.
All right.
Nice.
So where do we need to start? You mentioned you were cloning. Oh, hang on. Um, my OBS is showing delayed. Am I delayed on chat? This might not work. My computer might be blowing up. Yeah,
Oh, you are
my
delayed.
GPU is maxed
Yeah.
out.
Let's
Hang on.
go.
I'm gonna have to shut this off, unfortunately.
That's fine. I can watch on the stream. It's not the end of the world. That's fine with me.
Bummer. The only other thing I could think to do. Dang it. Yeah, I'll have to figure that
That's
out.
fine.
I need to see if my stream is recovered. Okay, I think it's recovered.
Yeah, no biggie.
Nope. That was me attempting to, because I'm also recording. So I'm recording and I'm streaming to YouTube. I'm streaming to YouTube again, and I'm streaming to Twitch. So there's only so much transcoding my GPU can do. And
Hmm.
apparently also streaming to Discord was one too many. I think long term, I might have to just stop recording my stream and just download what gets streamed to like YouTube or something like that, or get a
Hmm.
bigger GPU. Ooh,
Can do a dual setup.
it's way too much. I've heard about dual setups. I have no idea how to do it. I'd have to look into it.
Hmm.
Okay, so I guess you're just gonna have to deal with the delay for now.
That's fine.
So I guess then where do we start? I think you cloned Awen, correct?
Yes,
And did you get it compiled?
I did compile it. I set up the CMake presets for Intel Mac. I just need to push my changes to that branch,
And you were
to a branch.
missing permissions, right?
Yes.
Do you remember how to do that? Do I just need to
Great.
add you? Because you're added to the organization, right?
I am, yes.
But you don't have permissions
Let me
to
double check.
create a new branch, right? You're not trying to push the main.
Create a new branch, yes.
Huh.
Let me double check my
You know what?
rules
There
real
is no rule here. Classic branch protection have not been configured. Enforcement status disabled. I don't know. Branch rules? Exempt role team members, agents, apps, and users from this rule set by adding them to the bypass. I don't want to restrict deletions. Didn't we do this before? Did we do this with Druid maybe?
We did do this with Druid, yes. Let me double check if this is on my end. I don't think it is, but let me confirm.
No,
Try
there's no
this.
rule on it. And Awen's
Let's
a
try
public repo, so you should be able to. Oh,
Let's
wait a
try
minute. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I need. Collaborators and teams. This browser device is reporting partial passkey support. I knew I got it wrong. Stand by. I don't feel comfortable doing that on stream. I'm sure it's fine, but I don't know what's gonna pop up or not pop up. Collaborators and team use Nope, I don't have a passkey. Use authenticator. All right, that's not working. Why is this not working? There we go. Okay, so I do not have you as organizational access.
I thought I did.
But you are in the organization, so now I'm adding. You will have recommended for contributors who actively push to your project. There we go. All right, you have. Oh wait, I gave you direct access to Awen. I don't know why you don't have organization access, so we'll have to figure that out later. But give that a shot real quick. See if you can push up a branch.
That did work.
Hey, Crypto, thank you.
Let me see my pull request.
Yeah, Devtron, you're right. I actually have, okay, so I have another computer that I'm currently not using that has a 2080 Ti Super, but I'm not sure like what it takes to set up a dual box for streaming, you know? I'd have to look it up. I'm sure there's tutorials. Any luck, Jamal?
Yeah, that worked.
That worked? Perfect. Okay, so you gonna toss me a pull request, I suppose?
Yes. Give me one moment. I will copy that. Paste it in Discord.
And this is the CMake presets for Intel Mac?
Correct. There we go. If the pipelines are running right now.
So you have an x64 OS X. That looks
Yeah,
straightforward.
I haven't bought the new Mac yet. I know, me too.
The M5, is it the M5? Is that coming out?
M5. It's out.
Oh, is it out?
All right. But I want to wait until, no, I think it's the M4, but the M5 is not out until I think the fall. And I might as well wait until the M5. I think they're going to do an overhaul of the design of the laptop itself.
Gotcha. All right, that looks reasonable. I'm just gonna go ahead and merge it so I can make sure I have it on my computer here. Do you not have Xcode on your machine?
I do.
Okay. Your
I like C line a little bit more than
your SDK points to a non-Xcode version, which is why I asked.
Oh, I see.
Not a big deal. I mean, you're probably the only person in the world at this point. I know that's not true, but you know. All right. So, other than that, you were able to get the project up and running, correct? Or at least built, right?
Yes.
So, do you have any specific questions about it right now, or do you need me to kind of give you the rundown? What are you thinking?
Yeah, you can give me the rundown. I did have some questions. The first one, really one question. I saw that you moved the CMake compile options out of CMake and into the CMake presets.
CMake compile options out of CMake and into the presets. What do you mean?
Let me find this. Where is this at? Is it in compiler?
You talking about like
Okay,
all
yeah,
setting
flags
the standard and all that fun stuff?
and the flags themselves. Usually you do that in CMake. Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Cache
gotcha.
yeah.
So you're talking like let's see, I'm on Windows right now. So on Windows, I have CMake CXX flags, and I specify the flags here, I specify the standard here, etc. Right? Yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to do, and I'm not saying I'm right about all of this, but if a CMake variable, or if a variable in CMake is prefixed with CMake underscore, then I am trying as much as I can to move that out of the CMake list.txt files.
Yeah.
Any configuration that I am dictating for building this project, I am trying to move out of the CMake files, because the problem that you run into, especially with older projects or projects that just haven't updated to this style of CMake scripting, is anything in the CMake list TXT files are kind of set in stone, especially if they are hard-coded, right? It makes it more difficult for someone who is using your library to configure and build it for their project. Whereas if we use CMake presets, then the way I like to think about it is like these presets for this project is like a strong recommendation on how to build this. And on top of that, it makes it significantly easier to configure your project with the options you care to set. Because before presets existed, it used to be you just literally had to launch the CMake GUI, or on the command line, type CMake, type -D for an option, -D for another option, -D for another option. And so if you look at like all the different options that are getting set with these presets, you'll realize that gets to be a lot. And literally, it used to be like, as a junior dev, I would have to type CMake, -S for source, -B for build, and then -D for, option 1 equals -D for option 2, so on and so forth. And if you're starting to deal with like 30 plus options, you have to type it correctly, get it right, and then be able to recall it by pressing up or down if you ever had to run the configuration again. And inevitably, what would end up happening is the workaround to this, or the solution to this, would be to write your own script, right?
Hmm.
So it would be like a shell script, a PowerShell script, a batch script, you name it. And the problem with that is if a library is only being built on Linux by some developer who is familiar and comfortable with Linux, and they write that shell script, well, it's not portable. It doesn't work on Windows. It doesn't work on Mac, right?
Hmm.
Because they only did it for one thing. Now you could copy it and add your own, etc. But it still took work. It still took time and effort. So presets solve that problem. You define everything in your preset, and now I just need to call one command with CMake, and that's it. And if you ever need to change presets, you don't have to change the presets that are already there. You would create a new file, and I forget exactly what it's called, but I think it's like CMake user presets.json. And so then anything you define in here would override what's already defined. So if you wanted different compiler flags, you could change it, right?
Right.
Whereas if they were hard coded in like in your CMake list.txt files, it became a lot harder to like navigate the code base to figure out where all those are set. So having them in one location, like there's just all these different reasons CMake presets are nice is why I'm doing that.
Okay. That makes
Now,
sense.
is it the best way to do it? I don't know, because it's one of these things, CMake CXX standard 23, you're going to need to turn on if we're going to use standard expected, right? So
Yes.
a user doesn't really have the option to turn that off per se. So there could be an argument made where some of this stuff should be hard coded and shouldn't be changeable. Eh, I mean, we'll worry about that when we get there. If I start getting like 30 tickets a day of people complaining like, "Hey, I changed this to 17 with my GCC, I don't know what compiler supports 17, 12, GCC 12, GCC 11, and it's not working." I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's not working because we don't support it." So,
Okay.
that kind of thing. So that's where that's
Yeah.
coming from. Plus,
Okay, that makes sense.
it makes your CMake list files that much cleaner, a lot
And
less
it's a lot
cluttered,
cleaner.
right?
There was a project that I saw that was referencing while I was working at work. I was at work, one of your projects, and I saw that you put the compile options in this huge CMake.txt, and I was like, "What is going on?" I parsed through it, and it was just all the different flags. But this is a lot cleaner. So
Yep, yep,
yeah,
yeah. And I've seen it all. It's like over the years, just all the different projects that use CMake and everyone having their own way to do CMake. For that's part of the problem with CMake itself is it's gone through a bunch of evolution, and a lot of projects are still legacy and still trying to catch up.
hmm.
All right, so yeah, the less CMake, the better, or the less CMake you have to write. Um, so I want to we have a big topic to talk about, which I've already started with you, which is scripting and adding
Yeah.
scripting to this engine, because you were interested in contributing. You said you wanted to continue to
Yes.
learn C++ and find new ways to grow as a developer, if you will.
Definitely. Yes.
And I think figuring out scripting for this would go a long way, because it will. There's a lot of stuff this is going to touch, and it won't necessarily block anything I am doing to try and get my game up and running, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I think what I want to start with, do I go with the grand vision first? Maybe the grand vision will make it easier. I have a vision, okay? And this vision is to be able to have a game engine that anyone can use via a text editor like VS Code, or like an extension, a text editor with extensions, and be able to like automatically, all you have to do is install the extension. And then all you have to do is, like in VS Code, Control Shift P, pick an option, start a new project, and boom, you are up and running with modern C++ game engine 2D. I don't have a very strong interest in doing 3D. that's its own level of effort that I'm not anywhere near considering right now.
Hmm.
But be able to like get a project up and running in a text editor with minimal effort. So we would automatically handle the CMake scripting for you. We would automatically handle the VC package manager for you. We would automatically handle giving you the dependencies you need. We would automatically handle the scripting, right? Just like any game engine,
Right.
and then potentially do like hot reloading, right?
Hmm.
Well, it turns out there is a project out there that exists that basically does exactly what I'm talking about, but not for games. It does it for applications, cross-platform applications. And that project is called Slint. So I want to show off Slint real quick. And what's interesting is Slint is written in Rust. So for all
Oh,
my Rust heads out there, dang it. So I already installed the extension. You just go into VS Code extensions and you would search Slint, and there would be a Slint extension here. And I guess there's a nightly build version as well if you wanted to grab that. I haven't touched it. So I've already installed that. Once you install Slint, you should be able to do Control P. Oh, because Slint is written in Rust, you need Rust compiler. So I have already set up my computer with Rust up, which installed the Rust compiler and cargo and all that fun
yeah.
stuff. So my
Hmm.
computer's already set up for that. And I also have Visual Studio installed on my computer because I'm C++, you know. But basically, you would do create new Slint project from template. So I'm picturing how cool would it be if Awen create new project from template, but for Awen.
Hmm.
And Slint supports JavaScript, TypeScript, C++, Rust, Python. I don't know if I want to go as far as that, at least, especially like as a solo dev. I have no interest in like trying to support all of that. My goal is like C++ and one scripting language, right? But let's say I want to do C++, which is what Awen would be by default. Enter name. This will be Flint demo. Open in current window. Okay. Oh boy. Pick your tool chain. So again, just like with Awen, all the CMake presets that I have that I've already defined, that's kind of what would happen here, right? So you would
Hmm.
install the Awen extension, and then you would have the option. I wouldn't need to put this pop-up up. You would just have the option to select a preset that you want to compile for. And so that's what I would do here. I don't know why, but the every time I create a new Slint project, it like changes my UI for some reason. So it is basically just like VC package does, where you start to configure CMake and it starts to like download your dependencies and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Slint is going to do the same thing, but with Rust and Cargo, because
Cargo. Yeah.
Slint uses its own set of dependencies through the Cargo package manager, as I understand it. So I can come in here, and because it's a template, I should be able to build and debug and just hit build. And so we should see Cargo do something maybe. Blocking, waiting for the file lock on package cache. Okay, there it goes. So just like VC package, Cargo is downloading and compiling all the dependencies that Slint needs. So like if this was Awen, that's what would happen. Awen would
Hmm.
download the dependencies it needs and compile it for you. And boy, does it have a lot of dependencies.
What?
But to be fair, I think a lot of them are small. Having a language that like comes with a package manager by default, I think enables a lot of smaller packages to be made.
How did you find out about Slims? I know you mentioned it previously a little bit ago,
Um,
but I think it was in
I've been
passing.
I've been aware of it for a minute. I think typically I've developed a habit over the years to, and I think I've talked about this on stream, to just like read articles when you come across them, for C++ on Reddit or CPP. Every once in a while, you come across an article that's worth reading, and then it wouldn't surprise me if that's where I found out about Slint,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. 4 minutes if you want to see Starship launch. Starship is launching. Am I should I pull that up on stream? Because that's like a NASA thing, right? Don't they let you view that on stream?
I think you did. I think they did.
Let me see if I can find that. Oh wait, Starship. That's not NASA. That's that's Ocean X, isn't it? No, I don't. I'm not gonna try that one. Um, yeah, it's a good. Yeah, I like to explore different ways to build desktop applications. Slint being one of them. I have not personally tried Electron. I've been that's not true. I think I tried Electron years ago, but this was like before VS Code was a thing, and I couldn't figure it out. But I was also basically a kid who didn't know what they were doing. But anyway, this Slint is failing to build. I've ran into this before, and I don't remember what the issue was. Rust up target add. I think I've already done that. Is up to date. I need this demo working so I can talk about the how I envision Awen working. Part of the problem is I don't think I installed Rust correctly. I used Choco Chocolatey to install on Windows versus installing Rust up itself, which I think has caused some issues. But I know there's a way to solve it. I don't remember how. So this is a good use of AI. Just give it the error and say, hey, fix me. But anyway, the way Slint works is it's very similar to QML. Now, I haven't confirmed this, but my understanding is the lead developer or the CEO, whoever's in charge of designing Slint, they were developers for Qt and did QML.
Oh,
That's my understanding. I forget where I saw that, so don't quote me on that. But that is my understanding. So there's kind of a reason Slint looks the way it looks right now, is because it's very similar to QML, and they're like, yeah, we wanted to do QML for a reason, but we wanted to make it better than what we did before. Like that I do know is what they said, is they wanted to do it better than they did before. So I think that also kind of implies they worked on QML.
mm-hmm.
QML used like the JavaScript engine under the hood for scripting and things like that. But the way Slint works is these callback types basically get auto-generated as code that you can then access and define in your code. So whereas QML is like parsed and I think compiled into bytecode or something like this, Slint auto-generates your Slint files into the code of the language of your choice. Rust, C++, Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, that kind of thing. And that's why we saw on configuration this guy get process. And so if we actually went into the build files, we might actually find The application somewhere, but also it's been failing to build, so I don't know if it's been generated yet. Let's see where we're at here. Let's allow commands. But it's going to essentially turn all of this into C++ code that you can then access and modify in your code base.
Okay.
And so I don't know if we need to go that far with Awen, but the idea of being able to, kind of like QML, being able to define my UI as a layout of nested objects would go a long way.
Yeah.
And then there's also, I'm going to see if this works. Okay, so you guys don't see this because, you know what? I'm going to switch to, can I switch to my desktop? I don't think chat's on desktop. I don't have you on desktop chat. One sec. Also my vertical. Nah, I'm not going to bother. We'll just go to desktop really quick. Okay. So this live preview lets you basically modify as you're messing with these values, right? So increase value, I can get rid of this text. Now it becomes increase. So it changes based on what you change in the file. And then this preview also kind of turns into its own editor, property editor. And I can click and choose, and it takes me to the line that I clicked on. So if I click on the button, if I click on the counter, you can see like the highlight change. So this tool is really cool. And then any properties you change, it gets added to the text file. I don't think we need to go that far, at least not today.
Okay.
Because that would be a lot of work.
That'd be cool though.
It would be cool. And I'm also kind of like not opposed to maybe just using Slint as the front end of Awen. But that's a lot. You saw all the dependencies it was pulling in. I don't think I need all of that for a game. Root cause chocolatey uses GNU toolchain and was first in the path, so CMake picked it up during the initial configure. Passing D Rust compiler pointing to the Rust evidence fix the detection. Okay, so let's try this again. All right, I'm gonna swap this back. We'll configure. I might have to do a clean. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a clean, aren't we? Because I can't find my compiler now. All right, let's try this again. Configure. So like this piece right here, this is where I think it's starting to process the Slint files. Build files were written to build. So we'll generate. Essentially doing like what we would do with Awen, the VC package, download dependencies and build. How often do I use LLMs to write my code? It depends. It depends what you mean by generate code. If I definitely use it for a lot of auto completion. I think the auto completion is awesome. It's freaking awesome, actually, especially when it knows exactly what you were going to write and it just auto completes for you. That saves so much time. I use it a lot for debugging, kind of like what you just saw there. Rather than spend the next 2-3 hours figuring out why, well, okay, it still didn't work. But rather than like figuring out why this wasn't working, I use LLMs to figure it out. I think it figured it out, but because I deleted the build folder, I think it dorked it up. You got to pass D Rust compiler pointing to... And this is all because I installed Rust incorrectly. So anyway, not important. I didn't really want to spend too much time on this, but the idea is still the same. I want to be able to define my UI elements in some type of structure like this. And again, I'm not opposed to using something like Slant. It's just a little heavy for what we would need for a game, especially from like a dependency perspective. But the scripting is where it's at, and that's what I want to figure out with Awen is scripting. So I believe I mentioned Lua, right?
Yes.
I've been looking at QML, Slint, and looking at Lua to see if Lua could accomplish the same type of stuff. Hey OG, how's it going? And it would be cool. I think I'll just create like a file here. Example.lua. It would be cool if we could do like just be able to define. I want to be able to define static data as well as UI UI elements, styling, color, etc. Not only for rapid development and prototyping, but also to support people modding the game, giving them the option to change the effects and abilities of the game, and basically letting them be able to do whatever the heck they want. Because once you've purchased the game, I think it's yours, right? You get to go do what you want with it. So with Lua, what I want you to figure out is how to use it, because I have never used Lua before. I have integrated scripting languages before, so I know how to generally get that kind of stuff up and running, but Lua specifically, I just don't know the syntax, right? And so I mean, you've seen our Godot, like the Godot prototype, right? I'm going to hop back over to desktop so people can see this. Right. So let me grab the controller here. Just like not even all the little things, but just the general thing, right? You have like this big rectangle. This is a portal, a UI portal, or a TSD portal. This is a portal. This is a portal, right? And, you have one element and then two elements in a horizontal layout. And then you have these two elements in a vertical layout. And so I think it would just be cool and easy to kind of script that up in Lua and call it a day. Be able to change the colors, things like that. I think that goes a long way in making it easier to get a game up and running. Do I work as a game developer or is it just a hobby? This is a hobby. I have never in my life made a game. I do not know what I am doing. I have written a ton of C++. I am a C++ professional, but I have not ever made a game. And so there is a extremely high chance that any game I come up with is going to be terrible. But that's okay. That is okay. Because I do enjoy doing it. So I am making a game as a hobby. Or trying to. We'll see. But I also really like developing, frameworks and systems and coming up with ways to make development easier for other people. That is a very strong interest of mine and one thing I really enjoy doing. So it is also very possible that in my goals to make a game, it just won't happen because I'll be busy tinkering with the game engine that never makes a game, right? Because that's how it works. You decide to make a game engine and then the game just never comes. But doesn't mean we can't use this as an opportunity to learn new language features, learn how to
Yeah.
do C++,
I know C++. Yeah.
and figure things out, right? Because I'm learning. I'm the whole CMake preset stuff. I didn't know before I like started actually using it. I didn't start using CMake presets on the job. I had to spend time, my own personal time, to learn about it. I'm about to get laser beamed in the face. Before I learned how to use CMake presets. So stuff like that is how this happens. So that's where I'm at. So I want to be able to like script this up, define colors, statically define like what items there's going to be, things like that. All of it in some kind of scripting language, and I think Lua might be possible. So that's what I need you to figure out.
Yeah.
I have seen examples where you could potentially do stuff like, what did I do? Don't mind me. Potentially do stuff like aircraft equals, and this is, I don't know, speed equals 100, power equals 200, 200, so on and so forth, right? Now, the fact that, maybe you need a comma. Like, I don't even know if you need commas for these types of things.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was seeing is you might, in order to do this, you might have to do something like this. Like maybe this is how it actually has to be written. I'm not 100% sure. I don't even, is that right? Oh, it's like, I think I know what it's doing. It's registering this aircraft to a function that creates the aircraft. But again, I don't know if that's correct. This is just an autocomplete. Actually, Jan, that is the plan. I am going to use, I think, a library called Glaze, which I have started to use before, so I'm somewhat familiar with it. And Glaze, it supports a bunch of serialization, which could be useful because maybe we want to, at some point, handle other data types. But more importantly, if you're using GCC 16 or a compiler that supports reflection, then this library just works, right? And it so happens that whoever is developing Awen had some forethought to grab GCC 16 for their Linux platforms. Who would have thunk? I always have a plan. Is the plan always correct? Maybe, maybe not, but I always have a plan. So using the Glaze library, we would eventually be able to make use of C++ reflections by extension. And not only does it do the serialization, but it also provides the general C++ reflection registration, especially if you don't have CPP 26. And it's called like meta. Here we go. So we can do stuff like this. So you can register your struct, register the member variables of your struct, give your properties or your functions or member variables property names, that kind of thing. So I think we could make use of this as a general reflection solution, and then you would implement a parser as a plugin for Lua and make use of this Glaze API to automatically handle parsing Lua and using Sol. Actually, you would use Sol to parse Lua and then translate the Sol objects into actual objects via this reflection system. I think. So this is something you should start taking note of, Jamal.
Yeah.
Is be aware that glaze exists, because I don't know if this will be good enough to solve our problem or not. I'm assuming it is. And then the other library that would actually handle Lua itself,
Soul 3,
I think we talked about, is Soul.
Yeah. Or
It's
Soul
like
2, I
it's
guess, VC
Soul
package.
2 version 3.
Yeah. I know VC package has.
Yeah, it's basically, I think it's
Soul 2, Soul 3. Yeah.
Soul 2 version 3, also known as Soul 3, but it's located at GitHub/Soul 2. Not confusing at all. But it supports all the platforms. It's Lua. I think it's pretty well supported. It has like 5,000 stars. It's relatively updated as of last year, so relatively maintained. Now, that doesn't mean like in your research, if you find a library or like open source project that handles Lua better or easier, I'm not like opposed to having a conversation on like what libraries to use.
Okay. I'll make an ADR for it.
Yeah, however you want to approach it. But I'll need you to do some research for this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I'll research Glaze as well as Soul 3 and Lua, and then create an ADR for it. And the next stream, we get to discuss it more in detail.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm not 100% sure about with Glaze is the ability to dynamically instantiate the object given like a string. How does that go from, because I don't know how Lua works, so how do we go from saying like, hey, aircraft equals, which might not even be valid Lua, speed equals 100. How do we go from this to like Soul 2 parsing aircraft, right?
Mm-hmm.
And turning it into, I think it's called a table or something like that, a Soul table or a Lua table, however they call it in C++, and then converting this into an actual piece of data in the game. I think that's like step one, is just building up an example or two of how this would actually work.
Okay, I follow.
And it might even be like, hey, this file is named aircraft, and then in this file you're just doing a return, and then I don't know how to read any of that. And then here you're doing like speed equals 100. I like that. Turn rate equals like half a degree a second. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's how you do it, right? I just have no idea. So then, I think if you can maybe get like an example demo project going in this app folder for Awen.
Yeah.
I think that's a good starting point. And you could probably just stick your Lua files in that app folder as well.
Yeah, no questions so far. It seems very straightforward.
Cool. Yeah, I think the hardest part right now is just learning a little bit of Lua and understanding. Honestly, it's probably going to be more learning the Soul 2 library, which we'll learn more over time. And I'll do some of my own research just so I might be able to answer questions for you or provide you with guidance.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we need.
Yeah, lots of reading, but that seems very straightforward. It doesn't seem like it's a difficult task so far. I mean, I'm sure it'll be more complex, it'll be more involved than I'm initially expecting, but it doesn't seem like it's overly complicated.
Yep. So yeah, I think if we can figure out Lua scripting, then that will help guide how we want to implement some of our APIs.
Yeah.
And I'm also thinking of making this almost like a plugin based architecture, so that maybe down the road, if we wanted to support something else besides Lua, we could without having to like refactor a bunch of code to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And reflection
Right.
is what's going to make all of that possible.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Yes.
What else? Did you still need me to give you a rundown of what Awen's doing right now?
Yes. Give me a rundown of what Alwyn's doing right now. That would be helpful.
Okay. Let
I don't think
me
I've looked at any of the code so far. I think I just pretty much cloned the
That's
project
perfectly
today
fair.
and
That's
got it set
perfectly
up.
fair. I will say, I was able to get Docker Desktop installed on my Mac, and it also will build everything for Linux. So that's good.
Oh, I need to get that up and running too. I forgot about that. We have a Doxygen pipeline too, or no?
No, I'm not
We're
worried
not
about
worrying about.
Doxygen. I'm not too worried
Okay.
about Doxygen. Okay. Do you see the black window with some rectangles?
Let's see. Yes.
Cool. I have implemented simple, very simple events where you can go like bloop and bloop, sound effects included. And that's about it. So in main.cpp
Mm-hmm.
is where all of this is getting set up. You'll see that I kind of have a window object with a root node, and in the root node you can start adding stuff to the scene. And that's how things
Mm-hmm.
show up in the window and how they get rendered. We're using Raylib under the hood. Raylib, super simple graphic API
Yeah.
that works on all the platforms. This is the engine, Jan. Reflection is the ability to, like, at runtime, know information about your static objects. So what I mean by that is I could have a struct here called, let's call it event, since this is auto completing for me, right? So during runtime, like when the code is actually running, how do you know this event has a member variable called type and a member variable called key? How do you know that member variable is spelled with a lowercase t? How do you know that member variable has an explicit type of capital T? How do you know this key member variable is of type integer? C++ currently, in its current form that I am using, there's no way to do that. You can do it has simple reflection where you could do like a name equals type ID event dot name, right? Is this const expr? Can I do this and mouse over? It doesn't look like it's doing it. So you could do this, and this would return you a string of whatever the type is that you pass in, with a caveat: this string is not portable. So different platforms will give you a different string based on, like if you're on Windows, Linux, GCC, Clang, that kind of thing. So even this isn't a great solution. As of C++ 26, if you Google CPP 26 reflection, there's basically a whole new language that got added to C++ that will actually give you the tools you need to, at runtime and at compile time, determine what these member variables are, stringify them if you need to, what their types are, etc., right? And the reason we want something like that is because we can generically, using those, like, just be able to like iterate over your event. So it might look something like this, where you go for auto member event dot members, right? Now there are other languages that support reflection out of the box. Like someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure any language that uses like a virtual machine supports this. So we're talking C Sharp. I'm assuming Java. Wouldn't surprise me if Python has something to do something like this as well. But you're basically going to have the option, and unfortunately in C++, it will not look this clean. The reflection stuff coming in is, whoo, it's a doozy. But you'll have the option to like iterate over all the member variables, all the member functions, like basically figure out anything about the class or struct that you define. And know about it at runtime, be able to look it up. And so if we have that option, then we now have a way to generically serialize or deserialize to text. So scripting languages like Lua, where I might implement or add like a property field called speed, I can now be like, hey, event dot, let's see, dot star member, because you're going to like dereference the member variable to associate with like your specific event, equals Lua member dot name. You'd be able to do something like this. And that would be like generic. So I wouldn't have to manually define Lua parsing for every single struct that I write. I now can wrap this in a function or a templated function where I just pass in any class, any struct, any type, and be able to iterate over its member variables and automatically get the exact same code logic to parse and serialize or deserialize. So, and that's going to be like the very standard benefit, like the well-known benefit of reflection is serialization without extra boilerplate code to do like registrations and things like that. But there's going to be so much more you can do with C++ reflections. I think I saw another thing you might be able to do if you choose to is write shaders as C++ and then use reflections to automatically generate it into GLSL or HLSL or SpearV, whatever your shading language is going to be. But you can use reflections to write it as C++ first, and like during compile time, have it automatically generate to whatever shading language you need. Do I think new devs are cooked because of AI? That is a great question. So I have a guest. His name is Jamal, who's sitting here with me. Who? How many years experience do you have, Jamal?
I would say 2.
About 2 years.
2.
Okay.
About 2 years.
Has it? How much has it affected you personally? Have you observed it in like the workspace? Do you think it has made it more difficult for you to get a job?
I would say it's not AI. I think the field is oversaturated with a lot of the young individuals who want to be software engineers, and thus you have to stand out and be more knowledgeable. And I think our generation doesn't like to read or practice, and school doesn't teach you that you need to be practicing outside of class and outside of your homework assignments and projects to grow as a developer. So I would say it's not really that relevant. If you put effort into it, like you would put effort into anything you care about, it really isn't difficult. I think especially last year when I started working on pet projects like you instructed me to, and reading, I grew very fast. So just putting in like a couple hours each day at that point. And even if I put in less time, I put in maybe 30 minutes now at the beginning of my work shift to read, Effective C++ by Scott Myers. And that has helped me grow. But if you put a little bit of time in, it's not really that relevant. It just helps you become a little bit more productive and debug quicker, I think. But other than that, I mean, I haven't really noticed it being that big of an impact on my ability to find a new job or to apply to places. Pretty much every place I apply to right now, I've been getting some type of interview. So I don't think so. It's just getting your foot into the door, I think, is the difficult part.
Yep. And that's now we'll caveat that with like all things, it also depends where you live.
Yes.
Right? It also depends on the situation you're surrounded by. Unfortunately, not everyone has the same benefits that we might have, where at least where we live, there appears to be a decent number of C++ jobs, right?
Right.
So I can say from the perspective of a more senior engineer, I still need junior engineers, right? From a business perspective, junior engineers are cheaper than senior engineers. So a senior engineer like me might be able to utilize the AI a little bit better because I am more familiar with design patterns and how to like architect a software solution. I've already seen the problems that crop up when you're developing large software ecosystems. I've debugged them myself, right? That skill might get lost with more junior developers because it is a lot easier for you to be able to say like, oh man, this is tough. You know what? AI solve this for me. And it will solve it. I use AI to debug all the time now but I've been doing this for a while, right? I've been doing this for over 15 years before AI was even a thing. And so for me, this is awesome. Like, hey, I get to spend a lot less time debugging and a lot more time designing and implementing. Will it affect jobs? I mean, it probably will in some fashion. It'll probably affect other types of developers' jobs more than what I would consider like system level engineering, where you gotta kind of know how a computer works. Will that stay the same? I have no idea. I can't predict the future. But at least for me, I am actively trying to stay up to date with the technology so I can at least be somewhat informed and know how to use the tools when I need to use them. But at the end of the day, it's like any other new technology. It's another tool, and we have to kind of adapt and evolve with it or get left behind, I'm guessing. Can't predict the future, though. All right. So, reflection, we just went over. I was giving you a rundown of how this worked. So, you've seen this. The core of this engine, and this should be somewhat familiar to you, Jamal, especially if you're used to Qt, is object. This shouldn't be news to you. We got a couple of essentially callbacks that you can register, signal slots for different phases of the engine iteration. We have children management. So this is who owns all the children for the object. And we basically base all of the Raylib implementation off of that. So you have a node object. Node is kind of like your scene node. It handles transformations, nested transformations, and events. This is where the events get passed in. Node is kind of like the renderable portion of an object, if you will. So anytime you see a node, that's what's getting drawn on the screen, most likely. It's akin to nodes in Godot. Very simply written, so nothing too complex here, relatively speaking. I mean, if you're not used to looking at C++, then I can imagine some of this is like, oh my god, what's even happening? Trailing return types, all that fun stuff.
Right.
This is kind of where the automatic transformations occur. This is really using almost like an OpenGL version 1 and 2 style, fixed function pipeline style of transforming. Now, under the hood, I'm hoping Raylib doesn't actually do that, but I'm not 100% sure. If I had to guess, Raylib is managing a matrix under the hood, and then we'll use like more modern OpenGL to push that up. Otherwise, this could eventually become a problem down the road. But that's kind of the gist of what I have up and running. Everything else is kind of utility functions. Window instantiates the Raylib window.
Yeah.
And that's really as far as I've gotten. I mean, I'm only doing about 2.5 hours of development every other day, and I would say at least a quarter of that time is just yapping with chat.
Yeah.
And then I would say a quarter of that time is actually writing code. And then 50% of that time is probably just watching me struggle in pain trying to figure out how to write a line of code. I think that's usually how that works. Someone can probably back me up as they've seen this happen. But that's kind of where things are at. And so, like, if we ever get your stuff up and running with Lua, I think what I would like to see happen almost is, so right now, these are, like, everything is an object, right? At the end of the day, everything derives from object. And we could effectively move, this is debugging. Actually, we could probably move this to Lua too. Oh, don't let me forget. Remind me. Callbacks Lua.
Callbacks Lua. Gotcha.
Callback. But I think effectively all of this in main can go away. I want to be able to do. How do I want to do this? I want to be able to do something like read file engine main.lua, right? And that's all main.cpp would look like.
Okay.
We don't need to bring that up, Jan. Anyway, but that's basically what I would like to see, because if we can get this set up to where we can script it all in Lua, then we're sitting good. Devtron's not wrong. There is a reason I have a chair in the corner of my room, and thankfully Trill will lay in the chair when I stream, because it gives the viewers something to watch while I can like focus on struggling. And so if I'm going to do something crazy here, because I don't know Lua, but LLMs do know Lua. Let's do something crazy. Can you, let's see. Review main.cpp and implement a main.lua file in app/Awen that could represent, what's the word? That could represent similar implementation. That's not it. Review main.cpp and implement a main.lua file in app.Awen that could represent what a Lua script would look like if Awen supported it. Man. If you want to make the AI, the people who are like fearing AI feel bad, we could race, Jamal. You go figure out Lua scripting, and I will write a paragraph in my AI prompt. See who gets something done first. I think Jamal's muted, guys. Let's see here.
I am. What the heck? I said that might crush their souls. I definitely don't want to. I definitely don't want to partake in this race.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm okay.
Okay, so I see what it did here. So it's the way it interpreted what I asked is basically like, hey, export all of your API, your C++ API to Lua. So I do know Lua can do that. If you've ever heard of the game engine called Love 2D, which might be worthwhile looking up just to see how they do it,
Love 2D.
The
Okay.
Love 2D is basically like a C game engine with its API exposed in Lua. And so you could basically do whatever you need to make the game all in Lua.
Without having to know C.
Yeah, but it does it like this, where all of the functions are exposed, and then you have to put all the functions together. But I don't want to do it this way, because I want to use this like properties. So I'm curious if I can get it to do this. This isn't quite what I had in mind. I was expecting more of an assumption that the Awen object would have properties. Therefore, I could do something like rectangle. What do we have? Width equals 200. Height equals 200. Let's see if it can do anything with that. Declarative. That's the word I was looking for. So there's imperative and declarative. Imperative is basically what you're seeing here, and then declarative is more like I am declaring what I want to happen versus actually writing what I want to happen. In case anyone wants to Google that. Imperative versus declarative.
Just declarative. Okay.
I really hope this doesn't like leak out of the prompt of just sketching a Lua file and actually start changing my code. I got to be careful with my vocab. The script is now fully declarative. Key design decisions. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Yeah, look at this. This is what I want. All right, Jamal. I'm going to give you this Lua file, and I expect this to work by what? Next Friday? That should be easy,
Next
right?
Friday. That's
But yeah, this is exactly what I want. This is exactly what I want. Look at this. This is awesome. Because if we can get this to work, then we can add a file watcher.
Mm-hmm.
And it would almost be like gosh, I don't even know what this would look like. This would be like so we would have read file and watch file. And watch file would sit there and observe main.lua. And anytime it saw a change in the file, we could have essentially almost like an asynchronous reload the file and then have a process that could also be on another thread, I think, that will compare the states, and anytime it finds a delta from the current state to the new file, it will change it. And so then we're just we're effectively doing a hot reload. And then I forget who, but someone in chat mentioned this a while back, because when I was trying this with QML, where we are defining an engine and a window here, we could almost wrap everything else as some kind of loadable thing under the hood here. That way the window stays open the whole time, and then we're just changing like the internal state. And so the hot reload won't like flash the window over and over. It'll keep it stable.
Uh-oh.
So this is kind of what I want. So I think what I'll do is I can go ahead and commit this as an example.
Yeah, if you would create put that into a ticket.
I'll just push it on main. I'll just push it on main.
Okay.
We can just have it as an example because this is the goal. Like this is literally the goal, is to turn what we've just done but make it declarative like this. This would be huge. We would have to figure out how to parse all of this, I'm guessing, or see if Soul can parse it.
Yeah.
And then figure out how to access the data from Soul, figure out what that data looks like, and then that would inform me how to implement a generic parser and property system.
Right.
So I will commit this as an example. App Awen, everything else is good. Add example Lua declarative Lua file. And the cool thing is, with Lua, we would automatically get logic as well. So we wouldn't even have to write C++ for the game if we didn't want to. But if you want to, you still can. And so this was Lua callbacks. This is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So the ability to assign a function to a C++ callback, we would have to figure that out too. But I'm like 99% certain it should be doable.
Okay.
Cool.
I have an example going, so that's fine then. Yeah.
So I just saved you a little bit.
You did save me a little bit of time.
Right. And it's even things like this, right? Being able to expose our enumerations to Lua, we'll eventually have to figure out. No, this is exciting. I need to figure out how to eventually... Oh, you're just spamming. We can fix that. All right. Okay. Cool. So that should be on main. That should give you a starting point. Is there anything else?
You discussed Soul 3, Lua, Glaze as well. Gave the example.
Yeah, Glaze might be what I use for the reflection portion of it if it's capable of doing what I need it to do. Otherwise, I would have to implement my own property system.
And then, yeah, I'll create a ticket for this as well. That way I can actually work on that branch. And then I'll create a project in the app directory as well for the small example for that, just following that example that you just uploaded for the main.lua.
Yep. And if you got to hard code a bunch of stuff, I mean, by all means, hard code. This is just step one, which is like, how does this work?
Cool.
We don't need to get fancy. We don't need a bunch of templates. We don't need a bunch of inheritance or anything like that. If it's just got to be like manually writing code, then by all means, the goal is to just get something up and running.
Okay, cool. And if I have any questions, I'll ask you. I won't overcomplicate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'll
keep it very simple.
I'm available on Discord. You can reach me there.
Cool. I'm off to the races then.
Yep. I think that's it. All right. So any other questions? What shading language are you going to use? I'm going if my game uses any kind of shading, which I'm not 100% sure it will. Don't know yet. It would be with whatever Raylib supports, which I'm assuming is GLSL, but that could be wrong. Actually, we can figure that out real quick. Like, my cat is laying on my foot. GLSL. On desktop, it's 3.3 core, so we're not even using version 4. To be fair, Raylib 6 just came out like a month ago, so that the version might have changed. I'm not sure. But it looks like GLSL if I use shaders. But there's also nothing stopping me from supporting multiple shading languages. I have before in the past used CMake to basically take one shading language that you write in and automatically convert it to all the other ones. Because there's a tool out there called, it might just literally be called Cross Shader, something like that, that will automatically like convert the shaders to all the different shading languages, including SpearV. Cool. All right. Is there anything else I can currently help you with, Jamal?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, I think that's where we will leave it here for you then. I will see you off and we will continue my current process of figuring out what I'm trying to do.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time. See you
Absolutely.
guys. See you, chat.
And I really
Have a
appreciate you
wonderful
coming
weekend.
on. Hopefully this was worthwhile for chat to listen in on us discussing.
Absolutely. I'll come back with some more information next week or maybe even sooner. So, yeah.
Yep. Hopefully we'll see you again.
Sounds good. Enjoy your night.
Will do. You too. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Well, hopefully that was worth someone's time. Hopefully someone learned something. Am I still mad at your calculator? Oh my gosh. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. All right. I am starving. I am thirsty. I've been talking this whole time. So I'm going to go. Yeah, I didn't even bring my water with me. Crap. So I'm going to go heat up some food, grab some water. I am going to kick on some tunes. And I think for the next hour or so, I'm going to do some heads down coding and make a little bit more progress on Awen. So I will be right back. Oh, and my cat's hungry too. Come on, Trill. Hey. What? Say hi. Say hi. Want to say hi? Hmm? Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah? Oh, it's time to go. All right. All right, I'll be back. It'll be like 5 minutes. All right, a little quicker than 5 minutes. I had food's in the microwave now. Be done in a minute or two. All right. So where was I? What was I actually trying to do? I was trying to figure out. I think it was Node. We were doing this. Processing events. I think I need to implement more events. That's for sure. I wanted to clean up this guy right here. I think I really don't like the dynamic casting. Well, I mean, we are caching it at least. Actually, wait a minute. I had some changes stashed. What did I do with those? Oh, that's right. That's what we need to do. I need to, I want to change how I'm handling transforms because we're going to need, essentially, like the way this is working right now is even even if anything we are drawing hasn't moved, we're still calculating matrix transforms. So I want a different solution for caching the matrix transform so we aren't processing them every tick for every object. What do you think is worse, mutating vector with erase and insert logic, or everywhere logic everywhere, or gotos? Gotos is so much worse. Especially because vector can fit in your cache a lot of the times. I wanna pull something up and then I'm gonna go grab my food. Avoid goto. I'm just gonna put this up on the screen. Where is it? I searched for it and then. Okay, here it is. CPP core guidelines. If you're not familiar with CPP core guidelines, familiarize yourself. Readability, avoidance of errors. There are better control structures for humans. Goto is for machine generated code. Breaking out of a nested loop in that case, always jump forward. Example, bad. There is a fair amount of use of the C goto exit idiom. This is an ad hoc simulation of destructors. Declare your resources with handles with destructors that clean up. Yeah, so this is basically saying you're using C++, stop using C. If you want to use C, use C. Because C++ gives you the tools to automate like a jump to exit, right? That's what RAI is for. Enforcement. Flag goto. Better still, flag all gotos that do not jump from a nested loop to the statement immediately after the nested loop. Minimize. And so a lot of times what a lot of these guidances give you is an agreed upon set of rules that everyone can follow. Like if you're working on your own little project, I'm not going to hold it against. I mean, I'll hold it against you, but I'm not going to be able to stop you from doing it, right? But if you're like on a big team and everyone had the freedom to write a bunch of go-tos, oh my gosh, I can't imagine a massive code base with that many go-tos in it. But I'll be right back. My food's done. I ran out of ketchup. Black bean burgers with spicy Colby Jack cheese. Oh God, Jan, I have actively had to use that solution before because you had to get something out the door, and there's this bug where memory wasn't getting freed, and at the end of the day, it was like, well, yeah, it seg faults when you close it. Eh. I saw a YouTube trick. I'm out of ketchup. Instead of like trying to smack the bottle or whatever other thing to get the ketchup to the cap, you take it and you use what is it, centripetal force, and you just spin it around your ketchup bottle, and that will push all of the ketchup to the end. It worked. Surprisingly, no. It held on. Sorry, I gotta flip my friend off in a text message. Okay. All right, let's code or try and get the code I started to write working. Because I basically want to start caching transforms. So I have no idea if this is actually working. Hmm. Hmm. I mean, clearly it's not working. Oh, is the data not in the right order? Why would Raylib not have an API to push its own matrix? Surely it does. Alt matrix. I googled wrong. Odin has an example. Are you guys aware of Odin? Odin comes with like Raylib with it. No, that's not what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Rotation matrix. Try setting camera target position to center of cube. Oh. How'd that work? Huh. So when I click down here, it registers a click up here. Is Fun and Software a startup? Um, Technically, yes. Fun and Software is a startup. I do have a business, but it's kind of solo right now because I'm not making money. I'm spending all kinds of money, but I'm not making money. I'm only having the one guy who was on earlier today, Jamal. He's worked for me in the past, so he's like he's familiar with how I like to run things. He knows the kind of code quality I'm expecting. And he's relatively local to me, so I can meet up with him in person if we need to sit down and discuss things. I am trying to make a game at some point, maybe. I also have a mobile app that I'm making. All that falls under fun and software. I've never ran a business before. I don't know what I'm doing. So this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. No, no. This is him wanting to contribute because he wants to learn. I can't afford to pay anyone. Like I said, I'm losing money on everything I do for this. He offered to contribute. I didn't ask. Now, if we were ever to actually make money on the game, sure, I would have no issue paying him. But Awen itself, the open source engine, I'm planning to be MIT licensed. But none of this is like super serious yet. Like, I still work a normal job, 40 hours a week, 9 to 5 type of job. At best, everything I'm doing right now is kind of a hobby. I will be curious to see how your calculator turns out. I think a calculator is a pretty good project to work on. Any tips for retaining knowledge? Do you mean like as you're learning? How do you remember? Hang on. Let me look. Are you talking about the song? My mother told me by. Oh, wait. No, hang on. You're right. You might be right. You're right. That's. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. But you're right. Yeah, so how do you remember? How do you learn? Uh, it's tough because for me, it's practice, right? You gotta remember this isn't something I've just like I went to school for, studied for a couple hours a night. This is something I've made like this is like my livelihood, right? This is something I do. This is who I am. So you're asking a guy, how do you learn? How do you retain? I will show you. You got to think at least 15 years um times 40 hours a week. But it's not 40 hours a week, right? It's 40 hours a week on the job, and some of those weeks it's more than 40 hours. And then there are the articles and the personal projects I've worked on over the course of 15 years. So let's be reasonable and say 55 hours a week times not 52 weeks a year, because I take vacation, right? So let's say 48 weeks a year. Yeah, 48 weeks a year. All right. That's what it takes. 40,000 hours. Now, obviously, I'm being a little dramatic. The best way I've learned is by tackling a problem I did not know how to do. And then banging my head at it over and over, making some progress, eventually maybe solving the problem, and then looking up or seeing how other people have solved similar problems, maybe utilizing similar concepts, ideas, design patterns, and seeing how it matches up to what you wrote. And if it's completely different, then it becomes a question of, well, am I a genius? Or is this well-tested project over here? Do they know something I don't? Compare, contrast, try it their way. Like, oh, this is kind of cool. Ooh, no. No, their project uses go-tos all over the place. This is insane. Right? And then that's kind of how you learn, right? Yeah, it's just rinse and repeat. But the big ones are like really tough to solve problems that you have to do a lot of research and understanding on to have any chance of solving it, which I totally understand in today's world is a lot easier to do with LLMs. I mean, I use LLMs now to like do a lot of debugging. And yeah, you do get to a point where like you kind of rely on it because it's so quick and easy. You don't have to critically think. You can just do it and worry about something else. I I have the benefit of having done this for 40,000 hours, but it's, I don't necessarily envy the new guys trying to do this because LLMs exist. It would be too enticing not to use it. I mean, I'm almost certain as a young guy I'd probably use it if I could, if I knew it existed. Hey Trolley, how's it going? This seems reasonable. So I'm doing something wrong. How much do I how much do I actually need this? Rectangle. So I think this came up from the fact that I have to calculate. Oh, that's right. Wait, what? Hmm. This was the real problem. Map to node originally was looping through all of the parent nodes in order to calculate the mapping, which is crazy talk. Yeah, look at this. So you're basically having to do a bunch of dynamic casts every time just to calculate your transformation, your position. That's why we need to move it to more of a on dirty situation where you only calculate the transform if something has changed. Apologies. I am getting messaged. Nope. So that's where this is coming from. Now, as to why it is not working, here's how you debug when you don't know why something isn't working. You turn off everything. Simplify the problem. Got the window, we got the rectangle, and that should be it. Because then, when I put breakpoints in, I'm not going to hit a bunch of other breakpoints. We got our rectangle. Okay. So I expect this rectangle to have a position of 100 by 100. Ooh, but its parent is 0, 0, which is the top left corner of the window. So that makes sense. And the rectangle is being drawn where X and Y should be 0, width and height. So this might not be 100% correct. Because we moved it over 100. Okay. Oh, shoot. Yeah. So yeah, this might not be correct. This might not be getting passed in correctly, or I'm using the API wrong. Yeah, so I don't know why, but this kills me. Why does Raylib not have an API? Multiply the current matrix by another matrix. Maybe I can't do this. RL mult matrix. I wonder if the root node isn't defining a good matrix. What do you call that? A unit matrix? So this is local transform. But we're applying... Let's debug. Do I do mostly game engines, or have I ever done any other low-level projects like operating systems? I think I have mostly stuck to toying around with like game engine patterns, if you will. You know, the typical event handling, graphics, timing controls, things like that, serialization. I haven't really done too much physics. I usually use a library for that. Physics, to get physics right is kind of hard. I've never done anything low level like an operating system. The one thing I might explore on stream that has interested me in the past, which is graphics related, is kind of implementing my own software renderer using C++, just because it'd be kind of cool to see what how graphics actually works under the hood, because you like the big APIs like Vulkan, Metal, DirectX, those are complicated as hell, and you have no idea what it's doing under the hood, and how you go from defining a couple of coordinates and some colors to actually displaying a triangle on screen. So I think that'd be kind of cool to do. But no, nothing like crazy low level. Mine My experience, my expertise has always been more like application development, desktop application, modeling simulation, um, rendering displays on different types of like aircraft platforms, that kind of thing. That's kind of where my expertise lies, and obviously just general C++ and cross-platform development. Kernel programming win? Oh god. That terrifies me. It doesn't terrify me. It's it's a whole new domain, right? I have spent a lot of time in my domain of expertise, so I have not like branched out to other domains that much. And so it would be kind of cool, but I also imagine it would be a lot of work. Maybe someday I'll do something with my rack of Raspberry Pis. Don't know what I would do with them, but we could do something. All right, this all looks reasonable, but I don't know why. Oh wait, I never ran it. Wait, did that not work? Oh, interesting. The transform isn't getting processed yet. Dirty is set to true. Why was that not getting called? You know what? I might know what's going on. Get local transform. Kernel program. Do we just build a full-blown operating system in JavaScript? I saw a video a while back where a kid like built an entire like 32-bit processor in Terraria and then made Pong with it. So he used like, I guess it's like Minecraft, right? Those red switches or whatever. He built in a full-blown 32-bit processor in Terraria and then displayed a game of Pong in Terraria using that processor. And my mind, I'm just like, when I was his age, I built a Dragon Ball Z RPG website. Like that was the extent of my ability. Oh god. An AI generated operating system. See, but that's the thing, right? I don't know anything about what it takes to build an operating system, like bootstrapping an operating system, all of that, right? And it feels like you would have to know what you're doing to have any hope of getting AI to generate an operating system for you. Hey, Ben. What do I look for or expect from a junior developer? It's pretty simple, honestly. It's not just junior developers, right? It's anyone who like if someone's hiring, I'm looking for someone who I think one that I'll get along with, right? I don't want to be miserable every day having to work with someone I don't think I'll get along with. Two, you got to make my job easier. If you can make your boss's job easier, everything's subjective to the environment you're in. But if you can make your boss's job easier, that is your path to success, right? How do you make your boss's job easier as a junior developer? When I don't have to come by your desk every 30 minutes to an hour to make sure you are staying productive and not just sitting there staring at a screen, right? So what does that mean? That means you are actively trying to solve a problem. Maybe you don't know how to solve it, and that's okay. You know, you're a junior developer, you're learning. But if you're going to get stuck and have me come by, then I at least expect to know what you attempted and like what worked or what hasn't worked, why it's not working. Like, I expect you to make an attempt to understand the problem you're trying to solve or fix. And then I can give you guidance on how to approach it to fix the problem. Versus, and I've had this happen, I have had junior developers work for me who literally will sit there stuck on a problem, and then I'll come by in a couple hours and be like, hey man, I was expecting this this to be done by now, or I was expecting this merge request. What's going on? And it turns out they were kind of just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. They were not making any progress. And when I do show up and say, hey, what's going on? And they go, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know how to do this. I'm sorry, I'm stuck. I don't know how to do this. How do you do this? Like, hey, Funin, can you tell me what's wrong with this? So they spent multiple hours not making any progress, not trying to understand the problem, and then just asking me questions to solve it for them. That doesn't cut it. I need people on my team who are capable of, even if you can't figure the problem out, are capable of trying and providing me the information I need to help guide you, right? So the less I have to handhold, the better. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to, solve a problem for your business, solve a problem for the domain you're working on, and doing it as quickly as possible and well, so that you're not like hurting yourself in the future. And so like the more you can contribute to that without me needing to take hours out of my day to make you productive, that's what I want out of a junior dev. I want you to be capable of being productive without me holding your hand. All right, so I wasn't calling get local transform, which was causing it to not calculate the transform, but now the transform itself. Oh, actually, the transform clearly it needs to be here. So my event handling is where it expects it to be. But the rendering is not. Which makes me think this function isn't doing what I think it does. So if I comment that out. I'm also wondering if it's better. Because I could just do away with this and use the world transform. I keep coming back to this, and that is learning how to relib rl mult matrix. Hey, I'm doing that. Okay, I mean, that is kind of what I'm doing. So the next step is to make sure this actually has data in it. So let's do that. Const auto mat equals get local transform. Anyone else in here watch any other streamers? I've been watching the what is it called? The AT&T Annihilator Cup, I think. A bunch of streamers going head to head in 4 different games over the course of like 4 weeks. It's actually really really cool watching especially some of the people who aren't like hardcore gamers actually put in the effort to try and get better at it. So impressive. Get local transform. Okay, so I want a breakpoint here to see if this matrix actually contains any transform data. Oh, I wonder... Am I making an assumption? Matrix translate. As long as it's creating an identity matrix. All right, let's run this. Okay, so this should be the root node first. Oh. Okay, so local transform. I am currently not using any multi-threading. I will almost certainly be using multi-threading at least for file loading. My goal isn't to get too complicated with this. Threading, over the years, I used to do a lot of threading, and over the years, I've basically learned that you really got to know what you're doing to make multi-threading performant, or what you are doing is so performance degrading that even a poor implementation of threading is better than no implementation. And anything I'm doing here, I'm not doing anything so crazy. I'm not running like a 3D physics simulation or anything like that. So I just currently I haven't bothered. But for file loading, almost certainly I'll want to do it. Local transform. Okay. Yeah, okay, so position data is there. So it is possible. What the hell? It's an identity matrix. It has, yeah, all that looks good. I just don't know if this is in the right order. Actually, I think it might be. So we multiply rotation and scale followed by transform. I'm not 100% sure that's right. What the heck? Why won't it let me see this? Do I really have to? That's annoying. Because it's a pointer, that's why. Keep hearing about arena allocation from people related to the handmade community or C developers. Is that something? No, I do not use. I have not ever have I ever had to stress about like implementing allocators. Generally speaking, the idea. I might be able to do the programming streamer thing here and open up Paint. Now, I'm going to try my best to explain this from the perspective of a guy who has never had to write allocators or use allocators ever in 15 years, but has been like tangentially aware that they exist. So I apologize if I get some things wrong. I implore you to look it up yourself, but I will do the best that I can. So, you have virtual memory for your application, right? Whenever you launch an application, your operating system is going to give you like pages of memory, right? And in this application space, nothing else typically can get in, right? That's the whole reason we virtualize the memory is, don't quote me on that actually. I don't know why we virtualize the memory. I'm assuming it's for security reasons. So we have this virtual memory. So anytime you just saw me debugging, right? Stepping through the code, looking at the memory addresses, things like that. That's all happening in this virtual memory space. So imagine you are I'm just going to comment this out. Okay. So you're going to create a vector. Right? And your vector is going to push back one. Oh, why is my Control C, Control V not working? What? My Control C, Control V isn't working. All right. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, you do a pushback, and every time, it's freaking auto-completes. But every time you instantiate a vector, you are allocating, right? And when you do that, oh, this is going to get annoying. You're going to allocate some block of memory from your virtual page, your virtual memory, right? And this is going to change over time. So it'll grow, it'll shrink, it'll do what have you. And then the next time you implement a new vector, do the same thing. You might grab something over here. Now, it's also possible, I think, that if you have multiple, pages of memory, that maybe this gets allocated in a different page. This is where my lack of knowledge of where I need to read to get better at explaining this. But basically, the idea is every time you're allocating, especially on the heap, you're gonna get these you're gonna get these allocations all over the place, right? Now imagine if you actually controlled. You think it rarely get the same page? Yeah. Okay. So this is obviously a very simplified version. So even in this simplified version, it's going to get a little crazy. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. But you can imagine then fragmentation. So you're fragmenting your memory allocations. So if you did something like an arena allocator, which I don't know what exactly an arena allocator is, I just know why you would want to do your own allocation. You would have more control over how you are utilizing the memory you have to your application, right? And C++ supports it. You can pass in your own allocator. And it does so by default. It creates an integer allocator. It creates a float allocator. And if you actually look at these implementations, you'll see under the hood, I don't know if this will show it or not, that these actually just they're basically at the end of the day just calling malloc or new or something like that. Yeah. So that's an in place new right there. Oh, construct. Yep. Destroy calls your destructor. But basically, you're going to define these allocators to your needs for how you want to utilize the memory for your application. But it's just not something I have ever had to do or ever had to stress about. The performance that I have ever needed has always been to just make your memory usage cache coherent, right? I've never really had to worry about allocation patterns. But with a custom allocator, I picture it would look more like this. Hey, allocate a vector. Okay. Time to allocate a new vector. Okay. Let's allocate a new vector. And then maybe down here is your like grow space or something. And again, custom allocator, you can do whatever you want. And so anytime you need to like grow a vector, okay, let's allocate a grown vector, and then you just can like bounce back and forth. I don't know. That's probably a very dumb pattern. But that's how I like picture custom allocators working, is it provides a way to basically pick and choose exactly how you want to use your memory. And it sounds like Ben here knows a little bit more about it, so maybe he's worth listening to. It also like it also provides like, especially with like custom allocators, instead of having a need to continuously allocate and deallocate over and over again, you can just keep things like pre-allocated and either being actively used or unused. And you will see that a lot in game like data management patterns for games, is the ability to essentially keep the memory hot even when you're not using it, so you can quickly like turn things off and on. An entity is alive or dead, that kind of thing. But that's definitely not an area of my expertise. I know just enough to tell you something wrong. Speaking of wrong, programming is dumb. Everyone should stop programming. Give into your AI. Give into your AI overlords. There's no reason this shouldn't be working. It has the transform. That's correct. The event is in the right spot, which means map to node is working. Map to node. Oh, but it's using... I don't know what this music is, but it's not my style. Map to world. Map a point in this node's local coordinate space. That looks good. Hey, Trill. What are you doing, buddy? All right. Something obvious is happening. I don't know what. We're going to see. We're going to do some debugging with the AI. When performing an RL mult matrix F on line 129, my drawn rectangle from main.cpp is not in the expected position. I see that the X and Y position in the matrix is correctly 100, but the rectangle isn't. The rectangle is drawn at 0, 0. Hey, bot. 256 ounces. That's a lot of bot. Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. So generally, is it designed to like kind of keep your memory hot? I'm assuming. Do I have cloud computing experience? Oh boy. Not uh not a lot of experience. Especially if you mean like I don't even know if I can speak to it. Like I'm aware of Lambda functions, for example, when it comes to cloud computing. I think the closest thing I have experience-wise to the cloud is Docker and Kubernetes. Mostly Docker. You know, and maybe a little bit of like virtual machine management, but no, I've never done any like real cloud solutions. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so I have never worked on an application where the performance of allocation was critical. Usually it's more like, hey, you're allocating too much, so reserve the space so you don't have to keep reallocating. Oh, I didn't answer your second question. How central is it in the industry? I mean, it all depends on your domain. You got especially the junior developers out there or those learning to become a developer. You got to remember the world is massive. What you see online is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the type of problems being solved with software. And so you'd be surprised what all you do need or don't need to solve someone's problem with software. As I've recently learned, there's still people out there using Visual Basic. I didn't know that. There's people out there that still use COBOL. There's people out there that still use GoTos. So like in my universe, in my domain, I utilize cloud computing, especially for like software pipelines and things like that. But it's not something I need to solve like I'm not using it to solve a client's problem. I wasn't calling anyone in particular out. Ooh. What is this? Matrix to float? I would have never figured this out if this is the actual solution. I don't. The problem is I just don't know Raylib's API well enough. What is this? Matrix to float? Oh, I wonder if the data isn't actually laid out correctly. Son of a biscuit. Okay. All right. This is a gripe. I'm calling Raylib out. I'm calling Raysan, whoever the guy's name is. I'm calling you out. I get it. Raylib is awesome. Okay, first and foremost, Raylib is awesome. A lot of people have solved a lot of problems using Raylib. But that being said, if I have an API that does a matrix, I would expect to pass my matrix in, dang it. Or I would expect the matrix that I'm passing in to be of the same be in the correct data format. But apparently that's not the case. Apparently, I also don't like using macros. Do I really need a macro? Oh, I see why, because it's doing this .v. Ugh. But apparently, looking at this function, the relive matrix is not in the format necessary to push to the GPU. And so it has to... Wait, what is it doing? Float 16? What the hell's a float 16? It's an array of size 16. Okay. Okay, so okay. All right. Well, I don't know. Programming's dumb. We'll see if this is actually correct. I don't know if this is or not. If I'm calling .v anyway... No, I shouldn't be, because it's an array. We don't even know if this is correct yet. I shouldn't be bitching unless this actually solves the problem. This is Raylib. It's a fairly popular graphics API wrapped around like at least OpenGL. I think it wraps around other stuff as well. Hey, Raptor. It's pretty popular. Has like 33,000 stars. It's fairly well known. I am new to it. I am used to using older APIs or OpenGL directly. But it does support OpenGL. These are all the platforms it supports: Windows, Mac, Linux, Chrome, BSD, Raspberry Pi, Android Web, all that fun stuff. I thought it had a list of what it wraps around, but I think it's at least OpenGL 3. Oh, hardware accelerated with OpenGL, all the OpenGLs, all of the OpenGLs. And as of version 6, which I am not currently using because of some issues, it now has a software renderer you can use, so you don't even need OpenGL. You can just use your CPU to draw graphics, which I think is pretty freaking sweet. No, I haven't really used Windows API too much. I've used it for like, gosh, what have I used the Windows API for? Creating a window, of course. Loading modules, loading DLLs. I've used it for a couple of other things. Some timers, I've used it in the past, but no, I've not used uh BitBlit. I'm assuming that's what that is. Okay, so that worked. That's working. So what I really need to do is just pass this in. I can leave that alone. That makes it easier to debug down the road. I'm okay with that. Okay, so I am no longer doing a bunch of dynamic casts to get to these calculations, and they only get recalculated whenever you call these get functions. So this won't work either. I think I need to use get world. Wait a minute. How does... Did I screw something up? If they are not dirty, return. I don't even know if I need... What do you want, Trill? Hang on one sec. I haven't hung it up on the wall yet. I got shelves. I just haven't done it yet. Does anyone know what that is? Can you tell? I'm trying to... How do I get it into the camera? All right, yeah. Can you tell what that is? Oh, no. You don't... Someone, please tell me you know what this is. No, you're not too young. Don't tell me that. The game is still active. It's a map of a game. Oh, thank God. Someone knows. Okay. Don't ever tell me you're too young. That just hurts. But yes, it's World of Warcraft. It's like layered I don't know if it's like balsa wood or just regular kinds of wood, but it's like different layers of wood that makes a 3D map of World of Warcraft. Trying to decide if I actually need to flag a world dirty. If the world is dirty, continue. So you're not doing this anymore. Okay. So anytime map to node is called map to world. So we're really only recalculating world transforms if we need to do a map. And I don't know if I like that. That's okay for now. Actually, I'm okay with that for now. We can always change this later. But I think we're good. So let me uncomment this. Have you ever played a game that has a maze and no map, so you had to draw the maze on a big sheet of paper? I got stuck for like a... Oh my God, why does that sound familiar? I played, God, that sounds so familiar. It was like a website or something. I played a game where it's like... It was like text-based or something. You would enter whether you moved up, down, left, right. Oh my God, what game was that? You're bringing back memories I forgot I had. But I think I have. I think I had like played a game, like a text-based game, where you had to draw out the map as you played it in order to navigate. Sweet. All right, so we've got node transforms working without the need of dynamic casting. I need to make sure rotation still works. Who is this for? The text. So this should rotate the text. Cool. Now let's rotate the parent rectangle. Sweet. Ooh, does this work if I... Am I handling rotation for mouse events? Okay, when I click anywhere around the rectangle, it's not turning green. But if I click down here... I'm so freaking good that I didn't even think to account for rotation on event handling, and it just works. I don't know why. Why does it work? So we take our mouse pointer. Oh, okay. I think I know why it works. Because we're taking our mouse position in the window. And we are applying our world transform against it to determine if it's like... So we're essentially transforming our window coordinate mouse pointer into the coordinate system of the rectangle. I knew that. I totally meant to do that on purpose. And didn't get lucky by accident. Totally meant to do that. Sometimes you build habits in coding that like solve multiple problems at once. Because you just build these habits up and you know like, oh, I'm eventually going to have to solve this anyway, so I might as well do it this way now versus like fight it later. Okay, so I'm really happy with that. We are no longer doing any dynamic casts to calculate our transforms. That's huge. And we're no longer calculating our transforms if nothing is moving. So that's also huge. That means we can still run and draw at 14,000 frames a second in debug. We're doing good. All right. What do you want, Trill? Hey, what do you want? Little twerp. All right. I need to make sure everything is still kosher on Linux, so let's hop over to Linux. Ooh, I should probably also check WebAssembly as well. Man, I'm so excited to see what Jamal can come up with for Lua. That'd be so cool, especially if I can do hot reload. Linux Clang, that looks good. Let's make sure it builds. Come on. Trill. Hey, you want to say hi? I'll feed you here in a sec. I'm almost done, okay? Just relax. Okay, so that configured. My cat walks up behind me. I don't think you guys can see him from here. And he'll just like get his paw into the back of me and just... Temporary whose address is used as a value of local variable matf will be destroyed at the end of the full expression. Ooh, they ain't wrong. They ain't wrong, people. Well, I think the problem is this is a freaking macro. So the best solution here, the safe solution is probably... Because this takes a copy, returns a copy. I'm not going to use the macro. I hate macros. Macros are the devil. Let's do matrix to float v, get local transform, and then this becomes matf.v. Let's see if it's okay with that. Do I ever feel like I'm not good enough? Are you kidding me? I feel like I'm not good enough for anyone to watch me right now. I never feel like I'm good enough. But I will say this, you do get to a point where you have struggled to and you've succeeded. You've struggled and succeeded to solve problems, and that becomes experience that you'll remember. And then you'll start seeing these patterns like you're looking at the matrix. You start seeing through the numbers, and you're like, oh man, I've seen this problem before. Or, oh man, that code, like, it just doesn't look right. It's a code smell. There's potential for things to go wrong if you write code this way. It improves. But when I first started out, I was stressed to all hell as a junior developer. I would get my code reviews, I would get torn apart. It would feel like I would have like weeks. I'm talking like weeks, if not months, of code reviews where no matter what I did, it wasn't good enough. It was wrong. And my boss, he would tear into me. Be like, I don't even remember what he would used to say to me, but basically he made me feel like shit because my code was so bad and I didn't know what I was doing. But I eventually got past that, and I eventually got better, and I eventually spent more time on my own reading books, writing my own code, getting more comfortable and familiar with the syntax that I adapted, and eventually started leading teams, eventually started helping other interns learn, and from there started leading more people and having more people work for me, and coming up with more ways to improve like developer workflow and productivity. But yeah, I still get it all the time. But I think like one of the big lessons I learned over my career is learning how to solve problems you don't have any clue how to solve, which means like learning how to break the problem down, learning how to research, learning where to look for potential answers to the problems you're facing, knowing who to ask, knowing when to ask for help, those kinds of things. All of that goes a long way towards, being a productive engineer. But yeah, I feel it all the time. Just not nearly as much as I used to. And when I do feel it, I know that like I'll eventually figure this out. It might take me a while, but I'll eventually figure it out. And sometimes you just need to take a break. Like right now, why the heck is this? Oh, because I need a float. Wait, isn't that what .v is supposed to be? Did I already screw this up? I think I already screwed this up. Matrix to float v. Get float vector for matrix. I hate macros. Oh no. A pointer to an array is an array. So why is this? Do not implicitly decay an array into a pointer. Oh, this is Clang Tidy. Yeah, I agree. This isn't how you should do it, but sometimes C APIs don't give you a choice. So when that happens, the only thing left to do is say move on. No lint. What's it yelling at me about? Consider using GSL array view or an explicit cast instead. Oh, I guess we could do an explicit cast. Static, what does it take? Is it a const? Const float static. Cast const float. Thanks, this is. I really appreciate that. You, as a C# dev, you tried to do Stardew Valley. Man, kudos to, like, I understand that a lot of people are probably burned out from Stardew Valley-like games, but I'm always impressed because that is not an easy game to make. I mean, it took the creator like what, 7 years to do everything from scratch. Now with game engines these days, there's a lot more you can do a lot quicker. But it's still like, if you get all those systems into place, all the animations, the physics, and just the general like gameplay feel, I'm always impressed. I still want to make a Stardew Valley clone someday, except I want mine to be Dungeons and Dragons based. You're this retired necromancer who's done with all the adventuring, so you go settle on a farm, but you use your necromantic powers to raise the dead to do all the farming for you. So then it becomes almost like an automation system. And then it becomes a question of, do you go visit the townsfolk or their graveyards? And like, where are you getting the dead from, right? And do the townsfolk notice? Do they send people after you? Do you have to defend yourself? Do you defend the town, right? But the entire time you are using the Dungeons and Dragons rule set to do all of your abilities. I would love to make a game like that someday, but man, it's a lot of work. I'm always impressed. Am I familiar with Vim? Oh, I am familiar with Vim. I am terrible at it. And I don't mean like, I don't know. I'm still waiting for someone who's like super good at Vim or NeoVim coming into this stream and be like, dude, why are you dragging your mouse to go to the tab? Right? Or like, why am I clicking over here to find a file, expand, collapse? Like, you're taking so long. What's going on? I'm still waiting for those Vim power users to show up and start making fun of me. I've tried Vim. I'm terrible at it. I don't have the patience to learn it. What was I doing? Compiling. I guess I could make sure it runs in Linux. Has anyone seen this? I'm on Windows, by the way. And this is using Windows Subsystem for Linux, which is why it looks a little choppy. And inside that Windows Subsystem for Linux, I'm running Docker. And inside Docker, I'm using the VS Code dev containers here, which is what this thing is. And inside that, I can build my application for Linux and run it for Linux with graphics. Pretty freaking cool. Why, exactly. Why are you using a mouse? I like how you steered the conversation from Stardew Valley to D&D. I mean, D&D's I'm a huge fan of D&D. Always have been. I mean, if anyone has noticed, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Oh, wait. What's it called? Shameless self-promotion. Tuesdays, Thursdays, 5:30. I stream Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition. First time trying to complete it. I've attempted it multiple times in the past. I've never completed it. Hoping to eventually beat it. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, I take a break from programming because programming sucks sometimes. And it's good to give your brain a rest. So if anyone wants to come chill and watch me struggle at a game, that's the game to watch. But yeah, I like Dungeons and Dragons. You can type while using the mouse. On the other hand, Vim devs don't. Yeah, you're not wrong. All right, I'm sorry, guys. My cat keeps bugging me. He probably needs food or he's being a twerp. I will be right back. Actually, I'm going to grab some water. Oh my God. I don't know how streamers who do this 8 hours a day, 10, 12 hours a day do it. Because my throat is sore. I've been talking too much. Clang tidy. All right. Cat needs an input file. I should probably just, oh, that's what I can do with my Raspberry Pis. I should make like a auto food dispenser and just have it in here. All right, Clang tidy. What's the problem? Invalid case style for mark dirty. That's fair, because it's a function. Let's fix that. Is that really all that's wrong with this? It's not as bad as I thought it would be. I guess I didn't make a lot of code changes. Data engineering? I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what data engineering is. Is that like database type stuff? Or like data analysis? I say pursue whatever the hell you want, but pay attention to the economy around you. Because I'd hate for someone to spend all their time, money, and effort on something for there to be nothing to apply it with. Okay, that compiled. Because I know a lot of people out there, especially overseas, are looking for like remote positions and stuff, and I totally understand how tough that is. Because you're like, God, you have multiple fronts to overcome. One, being overseas or trying to do remote, so not being in person. That right there already puts you at a disadvantage to those who can show up. Okay, Clang tidy is passing. Let's make sure WebAssembly still works. I don't remember if the events worked in WebAssembly or if I figured that out. WebAssembly. How about web dev? I'll be honest. I don't know. I think from from my perspective of being like using system level languages and like application development, it appears, I could be totally wrong here, but it does appear AI makes web dev a lot easier. Especially since, like, if you think about it, a lot of websites and web apps out there, especially if it's like written in JavaScript and you can easily view the source, like that type of data is so easily available and trainable. But I really don't know. WebAssembly. Like anything else, I bet if you're an expert at what you do, there will always be a need for you. Someone who understands the domain, understands nuances, things like that. I can't imagine that'll ever go away. That's the human input. I look like Notch. Notch. Why does that sound familiar? Is that Minecraft? Is that the Minecraft guy? I'd be lucky to make a game as well regarded as Minecraft. The game idea I have right now is probably a little too niche to ever be that big. Uh, installing. Yeah, I haven't figured it out yet, but oh wait, lock hide mouse pointer? No. Yeah, I haven't figured it out yet, but for whatever reason mouse events aren't working. At least the integrated version with VS Code. So I'll have to play with that some other time. But otherwise, WebAssembly's still working. It still renders. The angles are there. Oh, you know what I haven't tried? We do need to make sure scaling works with events. Reopen folder locally. But if it works for rotation, it probably works for scaling as well. Yeah, I don't get like again, I said this a little earlier. You got to remember the world is massive. And one of the most popular jobs is game dev. So the competition is also massive, and the incentive to get AI into game dev is probably massive as well, right? And so you've got like you have multiple avenues of competition coming at you because you have other people wanting to do game dev and you have AI wanting to do game dev. But there are other jobs out there that is still programming. They're not as glamorous. You don't hear about them online ever, but they exist. They're the jobs you don't hear about people getting layoffs from because they're not. The people getting laid off are coming from like the big corporations, right? The ones you always hear about. The mom and pop shops that need a developer or two. That's not going away. At least not that I know of. Ugh. Hopefully I didn't make a blanket statement there. Okay, so that's scaled weirdly. Oh, that's why. Okay, so if I click around the edge, it does not turn green. That's good. But if I click here, that's so freaking cool. Okay, scaling works. All right, I'm happy with this. I think this is going to be a good stopping point. All right. That's enough programming for tonight. Let's see here. Don't understand AI coding except for documentation reasons. I've said this before. I think for me, AI is a force multiplier. I have architected software solutions before. I have been around the block once or twice, solving and debugging fairly complicated, like multi-threaded problems. handling rendering performance, like basically everything that I utilize in my domain that I'm an expert at, like I've done through and through over, as we discovered today, over 40,000 hours. So for me, it's easy for me to just be able to use AI and go like, hey, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly how I want to write it. In fact, here's a markdown file that tells you exactly how I want to write code. Do it. Done. Or for me, I know how to tackle debugging a problem, so I know where to steer the AI to help me debug a problem quicker. Done. Um, I could envision a junior developer, someone. You got to remember, when I say junior developer, I don't necessarily mean someone who has like a couple of years experience. I mean someone like fresh out of school, has no like real world job experience. They can probably write their own game, follow some tutorials, right? They know some coding, but they probably just don't have any real world experience with like developing a scalable, maintainable code base that other developers need to work in, that businesses need to pay you to maintain. And so businesses don't want to spend X number of dollars for someone to just like write spaghetti code and then have to go back and rewrite it every time, right? So I wouldn't expect a junior developer to necessarily be able to do that. And so handing a junior developer the tools of AI to be able to just spit out whatever they want or whatever they can think of, that is kind of scary. But you're still going to learn. You're still going to have someone above you giving you code review. Now, I feel bad for the guy giving code reviews to AI generated code from juniors, because I imagine they're going to lose a lot of hair. But there's still going to be need, right? I don't know. We've been having this AI conversation for at least 4 years now. I don't know. Do I have a PhD or master's? I do not. I'm just a boring old bachelor's of computer engineering. So my education was really more electrical engineering with programming than just pure programming. So my education was like very math heavy, calculus, differential equations, solving complex circuits with differential equations. Do I remember how to do any of that? No. I know some words though. I know Laplace transform. Did you know that? Hmm? I knew it. Do I remember what it is? No. But no, I don't. I don't have a PhD or master's. I will say though, my guest today, Jamal, who is only a couple of years into his experience. He's actively working on his master's. Dude is super smart, but it's awesome. He's building up the experience on the job. So I have and this is a problem that I have observed multiple times, is a master's student coming out of education and applying for a job and knowing nothing. All they know is education. All they know is what they studied. They've never written any like production code. And I always feel bad because like you put a lot of your time and effort into education, but then you just don't get any work experience. And so I'm never able to hire a master's student coming out of school because they just don't have the they don't have the experience. Now, if you do what Jamal is doing, get that work experience and do your master's on the side, you're setting yourself up for a lot of success. Now, you're also setting yourself up for a lot of a lot of stress and effort and misery, because you're working and going to school, which is just insane. I hated school. And that was some of the stressful time of my life, is school and work at the same time. What about systems programming? I hear it's not going away. I cannot imagine systems programming going away anytime soon, right? I mean, we're talking everything that is software runs on systems programming. Everything. Almost everything. Everything? Can anyone think of anything that's like just ran on pure, I don't know, assembly or something that isn't technically systems I don't know, is assembly systems programming? But I don't see systems programming going away. I I don't see a lot of programming going away, honestly. Like, there's still going to be needs. We still need experts. CS student, you like game devs, too saturated. Yeah, I'm with you there. I always liked the idea of being a game developer, but at least for me and in the area I live, game developers were always like paid significantly less than what I was paid, and probably worked 20 extra hours a week than whatever I had to work. I would say, other than like my early years where I was spending a lot of time and effort learning, I haven't had to do too much like crunch time development. And so I think I lucked out there. Clean code bases don't exist. Production code bases don't have clean code because businesses are not paying you to write the most perfect, beautiful code. Unfortunately, if I had my way, I would spend multiple weeks architecting the most pristine and beautiful API, and every time there was a problem with it, spend the next couple of weeks architecting and coming up with the most beautiful refactor. And then when that failed, spending the next couple of weeks starting over. But you can't do that in the real world, right? You just can't. That costs too much money. And so what do? You come up with shortcuts. You come up with the best solution at the time because no one in the world can figure out why there's a bug at this location. But when you when you put a sleep for 10 milliseconds, the bug goes away. Clean, like, at least in production, clean code doesn't exist. Now, I bet you could find something open source where someone can spend all the time and effort in the world to just make it beautiful. Sure. Yeah, and I think that's sorry. So you hate the feeling when you kind of know programming language, but you still can't understand someone else's code. Part of that's going to be practice. C++ is probably one of the harder ones to do because there's so many different ways to do the same thing, and there's so many like crazy ways to do things. You're talking, not only is there like the C way of doing stuff, but then there's the C++ way. There's custom data structures. There's STL data structures. There's templates. There's polymorphism. There's operator overloading. There's implicit destruction. That gets really hard to read if you're not familiar with all aspects of C++ like that. But it does take practice. Am I a nerd if I spend, or I don't do it anymore? I still do this actually. Am I a nerd if I spend some evenings just like hitting up GitHub and perusing some well-known C++ libraries just to see how people are writing them? Nah, that's normal. Never mind. That was a stupid question. That's a normal thing to do. Without a degree, I feel game dev. Yeah, I mean, self-taught, especially in something like game dev, you just gotta have something that like proves you know what you're doing, right? You gotta have that project, and you probably have to have a good project. And honestly, that kind of goes the same no matter what, right? If you're interviewing for a popular job, and what do I mean by popular? I don't mean like a job that is fielding 20 applications. I'm talking about a job that fields a few hundred to a few thousand applications, right? Then yeah, you like no matter what, you have to stand out. That's not just programming. You have to stand out. You have to have that project that goes, "Oh my god." Right? I mean, look at Valve. You know the kind of people that gets hired at Valve? The kind of people that invented SDL, one of the most popular graphics libraries in the world, that many AAA game engines are built on top of, that are used in consoles everywhere. That's the type of project you have to do to land a job at Valve. All right, folks. I'm losing my voice. It was great talking to you all. I really appreciate you coming out. And hopefully those who were around when my guest was here got a little bit of benefit out of seeing how we're scoping this scripting engine process, or project, if you will. I think I am going to end it here. For the weekend, I missed my Baldur's Gate game night Thursday, so I am inclined to play some more Baldur's Gate either tomorrow or Sunday. I'm not sure which, because I'm also inclined to make some more progress on my game engine now that I've got event handling somewhat working. So we will see. Like I said, weekends are always up in the air. I'll either be here or I won't. The next scheduled stream will be Monday, 5:30 Eastern. And then Tuesday and Thursday, I'll be back to playing some video games. Thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all later.